Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Burke Briefing. Today we have joining us Gwen Royer. Gwen is the Deputy Director of Property and Facilities Management with the City of Winston-Salem. Good afternoon, Gwen.
Good afternoon, Councilmember Burke.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. I hope you are.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for joining us today to discuss the renovations that were recently completed at two city-owned apartments in the Northeast Ward, 1635 North Cleveland Avenue and 1200 Willie Davis Drive. In 2023, an inspection determined that renovations were necessary at both locations. So, Gwen, can you walk us through the scope of work that was completed at Willie Davis Drive?
Certainly. I'll be glad to share. So first, let me say this was an exciting project for our department. Our normal clients are city facilities that are occupied by city employees. So being able to do a project that was actually for residents and citizens of Winston-Salem was a real treat. So we really appreciate the opportunity to have done that. At Willie Davis, I'm going to start with the outside of the building.
Okay.
It's a two-story brick building, and the bones were still in really good shape. What we ended up doing is we put on a new roof and substrate, new gutters and downspouts, new windows, and then we also painted the exterior stairs that are on the outside of the building. On the upper deck, there was a concrete slab, and we put a new topping slab on it. And then on the interior of the building, for the kitchens, we put all new cabinetry in and appliances, which consisted of new refrigerator, a new range, and an exhaust hood on top of that. With the countertops, there was also new deep double stainless steel sinks that went in and faucets. Fans were put into the units. These were one-bedroom units, apartments at Willie Davis. And then for the flooring, we put LVT plank flooring in the kitchen and the baths. And then we put carpet in the bedroom, living room. And then the bathrooms also had a new vanity, mirror, new faucet, tub enclosure. And then for the mechanicals, all of the HVAC was replaced with new units and the water heaters as well. And then, of course, a fresh coat of paint inside and out. Pretty much summed up the scope at the Willie Davis. In addition to that, the tenants made a request. They wanted screen doors to be added. And so we went back and we supplied them with screen doors in order to meet their wishes.
Okay, this sounds like a lot, and I can tell you with those exterior updates, this has really added a lot of curb appeal. These enhancements have made a difference. And then on the inside, the interior upgrades, they have really added more of a modern touch to each unit. I love the backsplash, I love the countertops, I love the appliances. These enhancements have really made a difference, so thank you so much. One more question about Willie Davis. How many units are in that building?
So there are 6 units, 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom, and they're all one bedroom.
All one bedroom. Okay, thank you. Well, can you walk us through the scope of work at 1635 North Cleveland? So
North Cleveland is it is a quarter of the way up. It's a brick building, and then above that it's also 2-story. It has a siding on it. So it also received a new roof and underlayment, gutters and downspouts, new windows. They also replaced all of the siding outside. So the outside of that building absolutely looks brand new. New shutters. which really gave a nice little pop to the exterior of the building. Interior, so you have 2 units upstairs, 2 units downstairs, and they're all 2-bedroom, units. And there's this interior stairwell that was redone, and it was wood, and it had been covered and painted. And we stripped those down and got the wood refinished, and it really gave it a nice, fresh look as soon as you walk into to the building. So the interior scope consisted of, again, starting in the kitchen. So they got all new cabinetry, countertops, the deep double sinks with the faucet. They also received new appliances, refrigerator, the range, and the exhaust hood. They also have in the flooring the LVT plank flooring, which simulates wood. It's really cool looking. It's very modern right now. It was the same thing that we installed over at Willie Davis, and that's in the kitchen and the bathrooms. Speaking of the bathrooms, they received new vanity, new sink fixtures, plumbing fixtures, new mirror, tub enclosure, exhaust fan.
Wow.
And yeah, quite a lot.
Yes.
And you walk into this space, it just looks refreshed and brand new. So of course, it also received new coat of paint throughout. Then for the mechanical, they also received all new HVAC equipment as well as new water heaters.
Wow. Like you said, it looks like it's brand new from the outside and the inside as well. I understand that one of the lower level units was made handicap accessible. Can you tell me how that came about?
Yeah, that was really exciting to have an opportunity. The city realized that it would be a wonderful opportunity to convert one of the units into an ADA unit. And so what that involved a little bit more work than what the other units consisted of. We had to widen doorways. It was custom cabinets that had to meet the handicap requirements. Also, they had to have a rolling shower. So that was really different, and it was also a very welcomed option for the tenant that ended up moving in there. They were just so ecstatic to have that particular unit to go into and to fit their needs better.
Yes, and I spoke with that couple, and they expressed how happy they were with these changes. And it's just so encouraging just to see the kind of support that the city gave these residents who have different needs. Can you tell me about the landscaping? I know that you personally put a lot of thought into the landscaping. And can you just share what guided your selection of the flowers and the plantings that were used?
So the first thing that I looked at was the direction where the landscaping was going to go for each of the buildings. One of them faces north but does receive some west sunlight. The North Cleveland faces due west pretty much, so that's getting a lot of afternoon sun. So after determining and selecting plants that should do well in those types of directional locations, from there I wanted something that was self-sustainable. So it had to not require a lot of watering necessarily, that thrived without a lot of attendance. Then the third factor that I was looking for was seasonal. I wanted something that was going to pop every season if possible. I didn't want everything dying back, especially sometimes we have long winters and that's a little gloomy. So some of the selections were like over at Willie Davis. They don't know it yet. Hopefully it'll bloom this November, December, but they have camellias that should bloom. And that'll be really cool. Then we also have at both locations, we selected viburnum, and we also did non-typical shrubbery that will stay evergreen all year, which is really nice to have. It's papa green. And then we incorporated grasses, and we did the seasoned and tried and true loropi, which is also known as monkey grass.
Yes.
And then I incorporated a new grass that is a sort of a blue-gray color, and it's actually called bluegrass.
Wow.
And so they thrive, they come back every year. That was the other characteristic I was very interested in, is what can survive and come back. So I'm anxious to see what makes it through the winter and how everything looks. I went out the other day, and even though we've had early summer after it was planted, things are doing quite well.
Wow, you really did put a lot of thought into the plantings and the flowers.
I enjoyed it.
And I really appreciate it. I've had a chance to get out and see exactly what you've done, and I can tell you, really, the landscaping just really softens the area, the space, and it adds that extra sense of pride to the surroundings. So thank you again. So I believe this project began in October. Is that correct?
That's correct. As far as after that was the move.
Yes.
So we spent a year. We had to engage an architect. So just to make sure I give credit where credit is due, with a larger team that was involved in this project. So the architect was Roy, Brake, and Appleyard. And so they were awarded the contract for the architectural elements. They provided the bid specifications and the bid plans. And then they were also involved throughout the project with monitoring the project and site visits and making sure everything was done according to specifications. And then the general contractor was Risa Construction. And then from our department, the project manager was Rodney Harden. And he was there several times a week, if not every day, throughout this project.
Well, you had a great team, and you all together did a wonderful job.
Well,
it's just
you.
amazing. So tell me about how long the renovations did take once the residents had been moved out.
So there's actually a story before we moved them, if you'd like to hear that.
I sure would.
Okay, so, and if you'll recall, originally in each of the apartments, there was at least one unit that was vacant. And so the thought was we were going to have to finish those first, and then we were going to rotate tenants into the finished temporary units while theirs was being renovated, and then rotate them back. And so when we were looking at doing it that way, that was going to be an 8-month project. And just by chance, I ran into Chantel McLean, who is the Director of Neighborhood Services. And I mentioned to her, I said, you know, I just wish we had somewhere where we could move them off-site so they don't have to put up with the noise and the inconvenience of construction. And she goes, I might have something.
Yeah.
And literally within a couple of days, she had located and worked out, and we were relocating everyone to an off-site location. And so that was amazing. By being able to do that, getting back to your original question, we were able to shorten the schedule, the duration of the project, from 8 months down to 5 months.
And I know that made all the difference with the tenants. And I also know that the city put forth a lot of efforts to minimize any inconvenience to the tenants during the relocation process. Can you talk a little about that? Yeah,
so we were given instruction to minimize their inconvenience. So we basically went in, we packed everything of theirs and moved it, and moved it into the temporary location, unpacked it for them. And then when their units had been renovated, we returned, packed everything back up, and relocated and unpacked everything.
Well, clearly, this really did minimize any disruption to their lives. So this was wonderful. Let me ask you this. Do you know how any of the tenants reacted when they returned back to their apartments for the first time and they were able to see all of the renovations?
So the feedback that I received was from the general contractor, who was on site when they were being moved back, and then also Rodney Harden as well. And I can remember them coming back, and I was asking, I was anxious to hear, and you know how people just get a look of just total fulfillment and
Yes,
happiness,
yes.
and just so glad to be a part of the project. And they said, I asked that specific question, and they said there was wow,
Yes.
and this is unbelievable.
Yes.
And I think one of the comments I heard was there were some that were just so awestruck that they had no words, and their face just said it all.
I had the pleasure of speaking with many of the tenants, and all of them shared so many positive comments and how excited and happy they were with all of the renovations and upgrades. Check out what many of them are saying.
I said, oh, wow, I really like it. New carpet, painting on the wall, cabinets, new appliances, and I was really happy with it. My biggest complaint was with the bathroom, with all the old mold and mildew on the wall, but they replaced all that, and I was really happy with that.
It was real nice. The move was real good. Their transfer was real easy. They moved us no problem, and they moved us back no problem. It was like no problem in between the moving or coming back here. And we came here, it was like coming to a new apartment.
It's looking better than it was before. I'm satisfied with all the work.
Gwen, is there anything else you would like to share about this project?
I think the one thing that I would like to share is, because we don't have an opportunity to work with citizens very often of the city of Winston-Salem, we had an opportunity to really get to know and meet the individuals that live at Willie Davis and also North Cleveland Avenue. And they were so easy to work with, they were so gracious, and they were so patient, because even though we reduced the schedule down by 3 months, it's still a long time at 5 months to be relocated in a temporary location. But I hope it was all worth it once they returned.
So Gwen, as council member of the ward, I want to thank you on behalf of my constituents. You know, my desire initially was for the renovations to be quality enhancements that would make the residents at Willie Davis and 1635 North Cleveland to feel proud of where they call home. And I must say, you have far exceeded my expectations, so thank you. I also have to thank city staff, both past and present, for all their diligent efforts to make sure that this project was a success. And I would be remiss if I did not thank my colleagues on City Council for voting and supporting the efforts of this project. Gwen, thank you so much for joining us today and highlighting the renovations at Willie Davis and 1635 North Cleveland Avenue. Thank you again. And thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Burke Briefing.